No, that was paid for.
Oh.
But what I'm wondering is the fact of like, September 26th at 7 PM. Don't need to take roll call, but if every board member would just like to introduce themselves to the members of the audience. I'll start with myself. I am Diane Gorman, Board President.
We'll go this way.
Yeah.
Peter Hansen.
Kelly Zebro.
Megan Stankowski.
Kevin Herman.
Calandra Zebro.
Jessica Maple.
Donna Kaiser.
Amy Ballman, Vice President.
Thank you, guys. And remember, this is a meeting for the electors. So if you guys have questions, want to vote, make a motion, this is your time to do so. All right, we'll move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Rob, you want to take over?
Okay, at this time, I will ask for a motion to nominate someone to be the chairperson for the annual Board of Education meeting.
I will make the motion for Peter Hansen.
I will second the motion.
Are there any other additional nominations at this time? If no further nominations are made, the meeting chairperson at this time, I will be handing over
I get to have
the gavel.
Diane, thank you.
Hey, you're
There
welcome.
you go.
Okay. Appointment of person to take minutes in a parliamentarian. Anybody want to look me in the eye and want it, or?
I make a motion, Amy Bowman.
What?
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and second for Amy.
But we also have,
Yeah, we have the
Amy
other
as a
Amy
backup.
also.
Okay.
yep.
Yep, so.
Any other nominations? None? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Report to the district residents. Mr. Way, our interim superintendent, would you like to?
I sure
You need a
would.
parliamentarian too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the
Oh.
opportunity.
Okay, we need a parliamentarian.
I'll make the motion for Kevin Hermaning.
I'll second.
I wasn't asking to get I just knew you needed one, that's all.
I know, well, I thought, you're on the corner.
I missed
Get
the
over
word
there.
"and" down there, so, yep. Okay, do we have a nomination for Mr. Ermening? Any further nominations? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, at this time, I would like to address the community, first by thanking the community for their continued support of the school district, of education of our children. And Mosinee has a strong tradition, a history of being there for our students and our community, and I just want to start by thanking the community for their continued support of the school district. The Mosinee School District continues to thrive as one of the best school districts in Marathon County. The Mosinee School District leads all districts in the county with earned dual credit courses at NTC, which regularly saves Mosinee School District parents roughly $400,000 in college tuition that they do not have to pay. In most cases, the NTC dual credit courses also transfer to the UW system. Mosinee High School juniors regularly test at the top or near the top of all county schools. The Mosinee School District as a whole exceeds expectations on the state report card and is recognized for their outstanding PBIS programs. The Mosinee School District continues to be a destination district with amazing staff, something for every student, including AP courses to dual credits and a full range of sports, clubs, and activities. The school district is enhancing the STEAM program at the Mosinee Elementary School. And the STEAM education, that's an approach to teaching and learning which combines science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math to guide students in joyful, rich learning, inquiry, discussion, and problem solving. STEAM is an educational model that builds the creative problem solving and critical thinking skills students will need in the 21st century workforce. The Mosinee School District financial position remains strong, with a fund balance in excess of 25% and over $4 million of approved construction spending for a middle school remodel and cafeteria addition, which was recently completed under budget. The Mosinee District continues to strive to expect the best, and we are committed to improving student progress both academically and socially, preparing them to be a productive member of a multicultural society. We are committed to promoting partnerships with community and creating trust and respect with all stakeholders. We are committed to fostering lifelong learning where all students are motivated and have the skills for the change that they will see in the future. It is a great honor to serve as the interim superintendent of the Mosinee School District. I also want to mention the great work of our safety committee. The board and administration is committed to safety of our students, and we continue to meet on a regular basis to review and monitor all safety aspects in our district, and we're committed to teaching students to be safe in our multifaceted society. I'd like to give a special thank you to the Mosinee School Board for their willingness to serve in a very public role and are committed to the lives of students in the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ware. Well, now we have the presentation of the proposed budget. Just a reminder to those who are in attendance, Amy has all of the handouts and probably the presentation that Mrs. Brown's going to give us now. So if you can grab that, they're available for you.
Okay. Last month, in August, the school board approved a budget to come to the annual meeting. We will still have different factors in October, but right now this is what we have.
So we'll approve the budget in October, correct?
Yes, yes. The board will formally adopt the budget in October. So I'm gonna go over the different funds in our budget and other factors on our budget. Outside influences on the budget. There may be other factors in the budget. The state budget, their biennium, they determine revenue limits, they determine the pot of aid, open enrollment, state aids, revenue limit, as I said, federal grants. These are some of the factors that in the most recent 23-25 state biennium budget that was approved this summer. Revenue limits, this limits the maximum revenue from the general tax levy, Fund 38 levy, and the general aid. The state budget approved a $325 per member increase for schools across the state. And they also increased the low revenue ceiling to $11,000. So we received the $325 per member, and then getting us up to the $11,000 low revenue ceiling was another $277 per member in our budget. The open enrollment and voucher school payments, the district levies for voucher school payments. In 22-23, that was $176,686. And then the state reduces our aid to pay for that. So we do levy for those. We don't have the 23-24 amount yet. Another thing is the state budget put more into mental health, kind of in different ways for the next 2 years, through what was the Get Kids Ahead initiative. Revenue limit factors, just a brief overview. We start with the base, the prior year, minus any non-reoccurring exemptions. Then we look at the current 3-year average. Student membership is the resident student FTE, whether they attend the district or whether they attend another district through open enrollment. the allowable per member increase, which this year was the 325 and then the 277. And then exemptions, hold harmless exemptions for decline in enrollment, energy efficiency exemption, which we have on the energy efficiency debt, private school vouchers. So the proposed general fund budget, the total levy for the whole budget would be $9,169,433, which resulting with the property values that we currently have, which new property values will come out October. Right now, we don't have those. So last year's property values would result in a mill rate of $6.46. The beginning general fund balance, this is still unaudited because the audit is not complete. So $8,183,039. This budget has general fund revenues of $26,295,306, Fund 10 expenses of $26,484,867, and of this amount, the transfer to Fund 46 is $472,000. Currently, we have a planned deficit because we are moving those funds to Fund 46 of $189,561. With this budget, the ending general fund balance would be 29.7% of expenditures at $7,993,478. One thing I wanted to mention too, which you're fine right there. Total ESSER funds were $2,416,710. That's how much was allocated to the district. We have spent so far and claimed $2,154,018. We have yet to claim $45,735 of EBIS money, and then of ESSER 3, $216,957, which those funds are in this budget. This shows you the breakout of the revenues based by their source. Local would be the tax levy and maybe any fees charged to people. Interdistrict would be payments between districts. Intermediate would be payments from CISAs, maybe state aid or federal aid coming through a CISA. Federal aid, that can come from the state but federal aid, that usually comes through the DPI, but we have to code it as federal aid. And then other miscellaneous aids, maybe a refund or a rebate, E-rate rebate, or insurance refund. Then expenditures, just broken out very broadly by instruction, support services, and then non-program. Instruction would have all of your instructional programs. Support would have things from all the 200 functions, so when you're looking at your budget, anything in the 200s, facilities, counselors, psychologists, those types of things are in support. Transportation. Then the non-program would be your open enrollment costs to other districts. Oh, I got one thing. Take a brief break if you don't mind. So those, the non-program transfers in between funds, so the transfer to Fund 27, transfer to Fund 46, and then, like I said, payments for open enrollment. Our special projects funds consist of our Fund 21, which are used by our activities, and then Fund 27, which is for special education services. The beginning fund balance in Fund 21 was $534,954. There's never a fund balance in Fund 27, so when we put these together, it's always Fund 21. Revenues total $5,531,623. Of those revenues, 2.7 million is a transfer from Fund 10 to Fund 27 to make up the rest of the revenues to cover that, so there's no deficit. And then the expenditures, 5,532,223. The ending fund balance, again in Fund 21, would be 534,354. The debt service fund, beginning fund balance, 2,074,528. We're looking at revenues of 1.9 million, expenditures, 1,975,253, an ending fund balance of 2,069,128. The district still has approximately 1.4 million to pay off debt in Fund 39. And the Fund 39 elementary school debt will be paid off in 2026. This next chart shows you the current district indebtedness by fund and broken out with Fund 38 energy efficiency debt and Fund 39 Fund 38 science, and then Fund 38 energy, and then Fund 39 elementary. And then I'm showing what the principal payments will be making this year, and then payoffs for those. The next fund is the capital projects fund. And this is where we paid for the middle school cafeteria and classroom remodels. So starting July 1st, 2023, we had $179 fund balance. We're moving $472,000 from Fund 10, and then we have expenditures of $471,936. And that will pay the rest of the Ellis project. It is paid, but this will cover that. So we're looking at an ending fund balance of $243. This next slide, Mr. Kaiser went over this with you, I believe, at the last board meeting. So showing out the middle school financial closeout with the original contract to be $4,265,690. And then there were change orders, came in under budget at $4,071,724. And this was all, that was all paid out of general fund, out of district dollars. Yeah. And it was higher, you know, originally we were looking at using ESSER dollars. ESSER was the 2.4 million, but we did not, and this exceeded that cost too. So I think that was really great that we were able to do that. The next fund is Fund 50, the food service fund. We had a beginning fund balance of $323,607. We're anticipating revenues of $752,607 and expenditures of $741,845 for an ending fund balance of $334,369. And these numbers are directly from our proposal that we had received from Chartwells. We have been contracting with Chartwells since July, and we have received, I've reached out to the schools and to Chartwells, and we've received very positive feedback. Students have been telling the food service people, we really like the food, thank you. And then all of the principals responded to me that they are very pleased with the meals. I wanted to, which maybe I'll bring this to you in October, kind of a comparison of how many meals were served last year in September, and then how many
That'd be
will be
great.
served this year in September. Back in 2021, the board approved the use of sharing tables, and those were implemented originally at the high school, and food service reached out and they wanted to know if they could start the sharing tables at the elementary and middle school. So that would be for first grade on up for those, and they've started those, and
Good.
that's going well too.
Great.
And then à la carte is going to begin at the middle school.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
The community service budget, that's our Fund 80, and we had started beginning fund balance of 421,000, we are, in 159, 421, 159. Revenues of 510,000, expenditures of 650,000, for an ending fund balance of 281,159. This last year, over the last couple of years, we started increasing the amount we're levying in Fund 80 because we've been having programs for the community, things that we can do for the community. This past year, we levied extra because we were planning to have a couple more SROs.
Yes.
Those are not in place yet. We're anticipating the spring and then next fall. So we still had money left over from this past year that we had levied, hoping that we would be able to.
So that's what our expenditures are?
Yeah, yes. And then in this budget, we're planning for one SRO. And then in the following year's budget, we'll have the 2 extra SROs.
Okay.
Yeah.
And those are school resource officers,
Oh,
just for
thank you.
everybody's clarification.
Thank you. This is the proposed tax levy, and it's also broken out by fund. And then I went back to 2018-19, so you can kind of see where this went. And this is driven, the Fund 10 and Fund 38 levies are driven by the revenue limit. We can't exceed that without a referendum from the public, or it fluctuates based on our enrollment. So, shows the different years, starting in 2018-19 in the chart. The levy was $10,422,803 with a levy rate of $9.41. And then you can see the change over time. In 23-24, we're proposing a levy of $9,169,433 for a levy rate of $6.46, which would be the second lowest levy that we've had over those years. This is membership and 3-year averages. Starting in 1920, the gray line is the 3-year average, and then the darker line is the annual membership over the different years. So you can see how it's declined and maybe went up a little bit, now we're declining. I just did a brief projection on 24-25 based on looking at our senior class, looking at our 4K class, and knowing that our seniors are gonna graduate and what that will look like. So for the 23-24 year, we're looking at a 3-year average of 1965, and then an enrollment, annual membership number of 1959. And that includes summer school. And I'm projecting in 24-25 that our 3-year average is gonna go down to 1952. And annual membership 1919 possibly. Because we have a large senior class graduating. This is September count, membership and 3-year average, putting all those different things together. September, I shouldn't say count, FTE, then membership, and then the 3-year average. So you can see how those are, they kind of go, they run together, but they're different numbers. I don't have a slide on open enrollment, but we are counting 194 students open enrolled in and 167 students open enrolled out. So we are attracting more students than are wanting to leave the district. The next steps as far as the budget goes, We'll be having the October 1st certified property values that will help us determine the levy, and then the October 15th certified aid that we will need, and then we can set our levy and adopt the budget at the October 24th board meeting.
What kind of assumptions did you make for an increase in property values?
I made no assumptions here, but we've been told it's roughly 13%. Yes, so that we should see the levy drop even lower than the $6.46.
Wow.
Okay.
Any questions? Questions?
Anybody have any questions for Ms. Booth?
I have a question or two. So I'm looking at last year's report like this one. We had a September count of 1,925. Now, our number ended up being, if I'm reading this correctly, 1,957, correct?
Yes.
And I know you can't predict the future. Unless I'm misunderstanding
Can
something.
you say that again? The first one, the first number.
The September FTE, a year ago today,
Right.
was 1,925, a reduction of 26 from the prior year.
Yes.
So how does the 1,925
I think
relate to the 1,957?
the 1,957 includes the summer school count.
And the January FTE count as well, right?
No, not the January. The January is used in the state aid formula.
Oh,
So your 1919 projection, is that just, does that number also include summer school estimate or projection? Or just the comparable for the September count?
Just the comparable for the September, so I
Okay.
made a mistake on that.
It wasn't
No,
about
thank you
that.
for bringing that, no, but
It's not about that, I'm
yes.
just trying to do the math and I'm trying to project
Right.
forward the decline, the reduction of like 1,000,004 in our revenue from the state. And what, I mean, it wouldn't be quite that much,
The
but,
1952
yeah.
is
That's,
the number that you want to
that'll
look
be
at.
the average, right?
That is the
But going
average that I'm
forward,
looking at.
it's gonna dramatically go down if our annual membership isn't close to that.
Right, the 1919 is without the summer school. And it should have the summer school, which would bring it up closer.
So theoretically-
Because when I estimated this, the 1952 was very close to our current counts of like 1959, 1957.
So the 1957, it ended up being everything, right?
Yes,
At the meeting was 32 lower,
yes.
and we can't predict that it's gonna be 32 onto the 1,919, but that would put us back up to 1,951, which would make our average remain higher for a lengthier period.
Yeah.
Yes.
That brings the one down.
I'm just trying to make sure that that's how it would
Right.
prospectively work.
Yes, it would, it would. Right now, we're looking at the 1959, the
Okay.
1957, and the 1977 to make a three-year average. You see?
I just-
Yeah,
I do.
no, yeah, yeah. So then we would be looking at if it was, yeah, if it was 1952.
If it was the
or we were
same, it would
dropping
be 32
20
more, right?
Yes, if you were, yes,
So
that's
summer
correct.
school equates to about 32 full-time enrollment.
Well, at
Yes,
least it
30
did that year, I didn't go back
or
the prior
whatever.
year,
Yeah,
but it's gotta be about that.
yes.
Okay,
So the September count from this year, what was the exact number?
I don't have the exact number
Oh, you don't
yet.
have it?
No.
Oh,
no.
okay.
We're working on that this week.
Oh,
Ma'am, are you gonna cover the tax incremental districts yet? or-
I will in a few minutes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
The only other thing I gotta with the whole thing, I don't see anything where we collect any interest on our investment. Do we get any interest?
I didn't put what the interest is, but we have been collecting interest, yes. Significant interest,
Okay.
yes.
And now with the students in and out, I missed your, the dollar amount, but just the student total, are we in deficit yet as far as students?
No, we have 194 students in and 167 students going out. So our revenues for open enrollment will be based on the 194 students, and our expenditures will be on the 167.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is the first time I think we've tilted that way.
Yeah, quite a bit. I think
Yeah.
we were 5 or 10 the other
Yeah,
way
pretty
before.
even.
We
For a
were
while,
pretty
yeah.
even that one, yeah. Just
Yeah.
somebody, yeah, they're out.
Any more questions on the budget? Then I think next, Michelle, then we jump to the treasurer's report. Looks like
Okay.
that's your slide.
Okay, all right.
So, no more questions on the budget?
Awesome job, Michelle.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The visuals, much easier than reading them on a spreadsheet.
As far as the treasurer's report, we're looking at the last year, the year ending June 30th, 2023. We had a beginning balance, July 1st, 2022, of $8,615,347. General fund revenues of $26,023,448, and general fund expenditures of $26,459,851, for an ending fund balance of $8,183,039. That was, we had fewer expenditures than what we had originally planned for. We were looking at lowering fund balance, I believe, by about 600,000, so we came under that. We paid 1.3 million in debt last year, debt payments, principal payments, and our current cash and investment balance as of June or July was $5,244,897. And that's not including our funds that are segregated for specific purposes. This is just funds that could be used for the general budget.
And you mentioned this has not been audited yet.
That is correct. That is correct. The Fund 73, Other Post-Employment Benefit Trust, we report on that every year at the annual meeting. Started the year with beginning assets of $5,234,115. Started with liabilities of $74,439, and beginning fund balance of $5,159,676. We were receiving an investment return of 1.4. Ending trust assets, $4,945,349, and ending trust liabilities, $55,002, for an ending fund balance as of July 31st, 2022, of $4,890,347. In this fund, for informational purposes, this fund is for funding retirement benefits such as health insurance, 403Bs for our teaching staff, support staff, and administrators. Tax incremental districts. The district, a tax incremental finance is a tool that allows municipalities to invest in an area using the tax from the rise in the property value to pay for improvements. These districts are called TIDs, tax incremental districts. In Mosinee, there are 3 of those. Cronin Weather has a total of 4, and 3 of those are in the Mosinee School District. So, we look at, for a TID, we look at the base value when the TID was created. That is the property values that we can use in our valuation for our levy. We can levy against those. When property goes into a TID, There's an opening date and a closing date. All of our TIDs have a closing date of 2034. TID number 4, I was told, was in trouble at one point, so they extended it was distressed is what they called it, so they extended the closing date of that TID, which also extended the closing date of TIDs 2 and 3. I'm showing the base value of each of those TIDs, and those are that's the value that we could include in our property value for levy purposes. The incremental value is those are the increases so far in each of those TIDs. And the taxes on that value, the city gets to use what we would be having for property tax on that land for improvements. So, when those close, if you were counting the incremental value that you see there currently, then it would affect our property by 24 cents currently. Like if we were looking at the levy that we're proposing of 9.1 million, and we included these values, the incremental value in that, we would see 24 cents less of the levy rate.
So the 24 cents is just the impact for the Mosinee School District part of the levy
That's correct.
for a taxpayer.
That's correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I was also told too by the city that as they get closer to those closing dates, they will have more updated information as far as the value, which I get the value information every year. You know, we have there's a joint review board, and they talk about the value and give us that information. But when they get closer, there could also be maybe when they close the TID, the next year we wouldn't be levying it for it, but they would, so they could they would return some funds to us, to the district. And as we get closer, they would know what that would look like.
I don't know if you know this, are they, because at least 2 of those were extended already,
Mm-hmm.
are they allowed to extend again if they chose to?
I don't know. It could be if one of them was distressed. I know because 4 was
Yeah,
distressed,
I
they
know.
could extend the others.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can find out.
I thought there might have been a limit on how many times,
It's gonna be,
but I'm not sure.
I will check into that.
Ma'am,
I'm not
Yes.
sure.
does Mosinee have a tax incremental finance downtown? Did they close that one already?
No, that is not closed. That's one of these 3. It's one of these.
Which one is it here?
I do not have that information. Is there a link on this slide?
So all 3 of these here are Croninwetters, right? These 2, 3, and 4?
Yeah, they touch Mosinee.
Then you don't show Mosinese on here, huh?
No, that is in Mosinee. All of the districts that affect us are those.
The city of Mosinee?
I think the city of Mosinee is the TID 3.
Two, three,
Sir.
thank
What, did 3?
Yes,
It
sir.
is TID 2, the industrial
And
park.
Croninwetter's got 2, 3, and 4. We got 3 kids in Croninwetter, right?
There's 4 in Croninwetter. Croninwetter has 4. One of them is in the
Yeah.
DC Everest
Yeah, and
district.
then we got 3, right?
Yes.
So are they, which ones are, which are the 3?
These are our 3. I don't show the one that's in DC Everest. So these are the 3 that are in Mosinee.
What number you got there?
2, 3, and 4.
According to the city's website, 3 is the downtown.
Thank you.
Is 2 the business, the industrial park, Kevin?
I was looking, I didn't find it.
And it also too, if you go out to Croninwetter's website, they have on their finance department page, if you go to Croninwetter's website,
Yeah.
and I thought I included the link, but I didn't. They talk about the TIDs and where they cover, what
Yeah.
areas they're in. The actual land, they show maps.
Ms. Brown, when you mentioned potential dollars being returned to the district, are there any restrictions to those dollars, or is it strictly at the discretion of the school board where those dollars would be
They would not be
refunded?
restricted, they would be dollars we would have levied
Okay.
with the timing, if the timing had allowed.
Got it, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anything else? Am I up again, Pete?
Um,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, there's a few more
Okay.
slides, yeah, 2 or 3 more slides?
Yeah, so we're looking at, approving, the general electors approving a tax levy for this budget of $9,169,433. And your booklet has it broken out. I thought I did. It would be broken out, the general fund budget of $6,711,581. Fund 38, $1,239,590. Referendum debt service fund 39, $718,262. And the community service fund, fund 80, of $500,000.
So I guess we need, the next item on the agenda is authorization of the 2023-2024 tax levy. It's an advisory only.
Can I ask one question?
Absolutely.
You've done such a wonderful job on this, better than last. The only thing that I miss is the academic results report. We did, is that coming yet? Or is that, I mean, it's blank, you know, we had such a wonderful, in '22, we had such a wonderful report that showed the ACT scores and the breakdown of our, where we stood academically in various subject areas, and our state standards and all that.
Right.
And now this year, I was so disappointed, there was nothing. I'm not questioning
Right.
the ability of the students, but
Yeah.
to me, they even say you do all this stuff, but it's wonderful to see those, like you did with your financial stuff. So I just have to say that I miss that.
Okay.
Is that available on our website? Is that something we could present at the October meeting?
Certainly, once the new report card comes out and is unembargoed, that would be a wonderful opportunity to share all the state testing scores that we have. Yeah, so that would be the most timely way. So the students took the tests in the spring, and then the state, they do their thing with number crunching.
We don't have that yet.
And we don't have that yet, and typically we get that in October. So the DPI sets when we can share that with the public, but certainly in the fall, once that's unembargoed, districts get to kick the can in terms of looking at the initial data to see if we question any of the initial data, then it goes back and then it gets unembargoed. So that would be a great opportunity to share that information.
Kevin, I know you were looking back at last year's
From
meeting.
last year's.
The-
It is in last year's.
But, so Donna just pointed out too, so Ernie, you have this one, right? Is this the one you're looking at? That Michelle, just the presentation Michelle had, because in
I mean,
here,
I'm looking at the, for the academic,
right, and do you have this book?
yeah,
Okay, so there's a bit more about the instructional focus on page 7.
yeah.
It doesn't go into great detail, but it does talk about some of the academic achievements.
No, it doesn't show results, student results. It talks about what they're doing,
Sure.
but it's just like scoring, like a football game, you got the rules
Like
and all
last
that.
year's.
But that
All
doesn't
like
show.
that.
It was all
Okay.
graphic
Yeah.
last year.
You like the graphs that I put
This
together
year.
last year.
It was
and you would
based on
like
last
to see
year's.
that return next year. That was the only year we, yeah, that's not a
Yeah.
problem. I can certainly put that in for
Come
next
see
year's
us.
meeting.
in 3 weeks,
Yeah,
for the October.
we'll get it.
Is that feasible to do for October? Or
If
not?
it's embargoed by the
Oh.
state at that time. If not, then it would be November.
Okay.
So either October or November, we'd be able to.
You know, I'm kind of slow, you know, I'm just a entry-level person, you know, and I sure appreciate that.
You're
those
kind of
efforts.
keeping all of us
So
on
I'm-
our toes.
Yes.
That is for last one.
Thank
So it should be by October.
Yes, should be by October, yes.
Thank you, Michelle.
Oh, because yeah, look at the last,
One last
the
thing,
minutes.
no, that's okay.
Present of the instructional
you had a
program
question
report and how
about
the
the-
district performs compared to state averages. Which is good, the minutes from last year.
Okay.
I looked at the the September treasurer's report for our meeting last week. And it looks like the total interest on all of the accounts except for the employment account was about $252,000 of interest,
Wow.
about.
Yeah, that makes sense. Are you getting right around 4% now, or thereabouts, or?
So you might wanna talk about the whole arbitrage thing, 'cause you can't.
Does
Right?
that have a little impact then on our fund balance? Does that kind of help to prop things up a little bit?
It is. And I have seen WISC, which is one of the places that we invest, has rates of over 5% now.
That high now?
Yes.
Good. Good, you're doing a good job.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can go to item 8 on the agenda, authorizing the tax levy. Again, this is advisory only. You can see the resolution there. Be it resolved that a school tax be assessed advisory only against all taxable property within the district. And actually, somebody should make the motion. Is it okay to read that?
Well, she gave us all the figures that are in there.
Yeah.
But is it usually a non-board member? You know, it doesn't have to.
It doesn't have to.
all
Have to
acting
be.
as managers of
That's
So, this is an option for approval tonight. Can be anybody in attendance tonight who's a member of the district. We have a motion by
I'll make a
Brody.
motion.
Do you have a second? Second by Mr. Kaiser. Any further discussion on the tax levy? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Item 9, authorization for board to provide transportation for public and non-public schools. Be it resolved that the school board of the school district of Mosinee, Marathon County, state of Wisconsin, be authorized to provide transportation service at district expense to all pupils outside the Mosinee city established by said school board. And there's the statutes there. Be it resolved that the school board of the school district of Mosinee, Marathon County, state of Wisconsin, be authorized to provide transportation service at district expense to all resident pupils enrolled in a private school situated not more than 5 miles beyond the boundaries of the school district, measured along the usually traveled routes. So we'll ask for a motion.
I also move.
We have a first.
I'll
We have a second. Second. Did you get that? Okay. Any further discussion? Any questions?
I do have a comment that I'm hoping that we are, because this is one of our biggest expenses for the district, that we are truly watching the, not going outside of the 5 miles, just to help rein in those transportation costs.
Yeah, that's for basically, students from private school,
Mhm.
that, yeah. It's always a stickler, because if you read what DPI has written, it's not very clear. So that's it's a conversation that usually comes up every year.
Yeah.
Is this set up by DPI with the 5 mile rule?
Well, yes, but if you read what they have written, it's not, again, very clear, because it's usually traveled routes and the distance from our district. So some will be, well, this school is within 5 miles after we take them to the one school, but it's not 5 miles from our boundary.
Yeah, because we say outside the Mosinee city, but our boundary isn't. It's
Right.
really 5 miles outside of our
Right.
boundary.
And then you have bell times too, because we're getting our kids to our school. Some of the school districts work with the bell times, and they want their kids to school at the same time as our students, but that usually can't happen. So, again, it doesn't come up very often. Maybe at the beginning of the year, some will ask, but we don't see it a whole lot.
Peter, the topic though,
I
isn't 5
caught
miles
that
of
now.
the city.
Yep, yep,
It's of our whole district.
yes.
Right.
Yep. And it says along the roads we travel.
I was
Right.
looking
So
at
it's not even the boundary of the
the
district.
top part for pupils that live outside the city limits. Is
Yeah.
that, yes.
What's deemed
I-
hazardous, yeah.
I apologize. Okay, any further discussion? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 10, authorization for the board to provide school lunches. Be it resolved that the school board of the school district of Mosinee, Marathon County, state of Wisconsin is hereby directed to furnish school lunches to any and all students in this district at such places and times, and such cost as shall be set by said school board, and the school board is hereby authorized to pay any deficiency which may result from said lunch program. Section 120.10, 16 of the
I'll make that
statutes.
motion to approve.
Got a motion by Gorman, second. Anybody?
I'll second.
Second by Bauman?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, Michelle, we don't have the lunch count until the end of the month, correct? Until the end of September is when
How
we
many
get
lunches?
Lunches,
I have through the 20th.
okay.
Mhm.
So, what are we doing in terms of free and reduced and, I mean, our numbers? What are, do we do free lunches or free breakfasts?
We
or-
still do free, not all meals are free. Last year, meals were needed to be paid for, but there was still a additional federal amount on lunches, still carry over from COVID, not as high as before. That's how we got such a high fund balance in Fund 50, was with the COVID funds. Now, we're charging for meals. Some students do qualify for free and reduced meals, free or reduced breakfast at 30 cents or lunch reduced at 40 cents, or the regular meal rate.
Okay, so there aren't free,
No, not all meals are free. That is
Okay.
correct. That is correct.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and anybody else who geeks out and reads the state budget, I could have swore I see something in there that the governor though is requesting or had put something in there that there was going to be more, funding for all kids to get their free meals.
They
I thought
did
I read something
request
about that,
it,
too.
but I don't know, I don't think it was approved.
I'm gonna go back and look at that, so,
Mhm.
okay.
Because that was the federal law.
Was federal, yeah, then he proposed it, and I thought I read it in there.
there was
Some
there
states
was
have
something.
approved free meals. I'm trying to think of, I just read recently of a state that approved free meals for,
It's because they're
Maybe
sitting on all the
Maryland?
ESSER money still.
Mhm.
Billions.
I will check and update you though.
It's all free.
At least we don't have any inflation. Oh. I'm trying to,
We have motion in a second.
did we have a motion in second? Okay.
Yeah.
Any further discussion on the school lunch authorization? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Setting, item 11, setting of salaries and expense reimbursement for school board members. I'm assuming, is this how it's written currently?
Yes.
So this is this would have been the motion that would have been made last September, that school board members receive $200 per meeting attended for a maximum of 14 board meetings. And then there's a $5,000 per year maximum compensation for, and that would include attending, not attending a national conference, so it is up to public, anybody here in attendance, to make a motion to leave it the same, we could change it. Does anybody have any thoughts, or wanna make a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the proposal.
To accept the $200 and $5,000? similar to last year. Do we have a second? Do we have a second? No?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a first and second. Okay, any further discussion?
Yes.
Okay,
It's easier to do this from not being in the front chair this year. So we have a motion and a second already to continue with the current policy. So, just because many other school districts do something is not a reason for us to do it. But many other school districts provide an additional annual payment for the board officers. And some also provide an additional amount for committee chairs. And so, I don't want to run afoul of being the parliamentarian, but I would ask if there is an interest or a willingness on the part of the motion seconder and the motion maker to authorize an additional $500 for the person serving as the board president, $300 a year for the other 3 officers, and $100 a year extra if they are a board, if they are a committee chairman of the regular committees. So in my statement, that would not include the safety committee, because that's ad hoc. So would the two of you be interested in that as a friendly amendment?
Would you have a little discussion and then we can, before I would do that?
sure, we can do discussion.
So that's what I would like to see the district consider, is having officers and committee chairs. And I'm not a committee chair either, so I have no vested interest in this. When I did the research last year, you might remember, maybe you don't remember the spreadsheet, but Mosinee School District was toward the bottom of what we pay our board members. What we did last year was get us up to about the average of our conference and some of the more local school districts for what we do. So I don't know how other members of the public or other board members in this capacity, we're all just citizens tonight, so I'm just putting that out there. It's a thought that I've had for over a year. But because I was president last year, I didn't feel that it was my place to recommend it.
Can I get confirmation, for example, from Megan, treasurer and chairs a committee, so would she get both of those, give the $100 for the?
I thought about that when I wrote this down. I couldn't remember if somebody had both shops. So, I don't really have an opinion.
Okay.
Here's I guess to help everybody understand. So, and anyone that's currently on the board, correct me if I'm wrong or misspeak. So, when you are the president and the vice president, and almost always the president, and at times we will rotate amongst board members, but there's additional agenda setting meetings where they will come to the district a week prior and help set that agenda. And of course, there's a lot of research and behind the scenes work that's happening as well for those 2 positions, for the president and vice president. And then that's the same as well with the committee chairs. There's a lot of behind the scenes work, and maybe at times different meetings where you will do the agenda setting with the, for example, the director of instruction or human resources or building and grounds or finance. They may come and have those meetings, or they may do it over the phone. But there's a lot of additional behind the scenes works that goes into that. is one, just a little bit more information about that. But additionally, I think just trying to look forward for whoever is on the board, it's going to encourage more participation for the board members to want to step up and lead perhaps versus just sit back. And if any of those people do minimal, they're gonna get paid the same currently as what somebody does to go above and beyond and attend all these additional extra meetings and extra time to be the board president or vice president or perhaps a chair. Now, it depends certainly how much people want to put into it, but a good bit of us on this board certainly want nothing but the best for the community and are more than willing to do that already. So it's just food for thought down the road to help garner more participation.
Well, I can say I know that Diane puts a lot of extra work into it as president, you know, and I'm sure Kevin did too. I mean, it's a lot of extra hours.
A lot.
A lot of extra hours.
I don't have a problem with that at all. The only thing I'd like to see is in the last 3 to 4 years, we have had extra meetings upon extra meetings upon extra meetings with COVID and with all the issues we've had. I would like to propose, and I don't even know if I can, if I would like to see us add at least 2 more meetings to the 2 special meetings we have already to get paid for the extra time. I know this month we're put in at least 3 meetings. And then I think last month.
November, we're gonna have numerous ones.
Oh
for the
gosh, November's gonna be
superintendent.
4
Because of hiring the superintendent.
attendant. And then with COVID, we had meetings upon meetings. And so I would like to propose, if it's possible, to add on to be paid as a group. But you have to attend the meeting. It's not if you don't go.
So this, what's already on this, what's on the screen,
Is
seems
2.
to me, already covers the board meetings
Yes.
for example, interviewing the superintendent. It's already included on there.
Well, with a
Right
max
above
of,
the
No.
with a
for the
max of
result.
14?
Yeah. No, I'd like
No,
to see.
it says,
No,
hold on, guys.
interviews.
It says, maybe I'm misunderstanding what that actually means, but it says,
Oh, I see what
school
you're
board members who
saying.
serve on an
Okay,
interview committee
yeah.
to hire an administrator shall receive an additional
Additional-
compensation
Okay.
Right.
of $200 a day.
Got it.
And that's, in theory, is that above the 5,000?
No, Peter, so the $5,000.
Is max, still max. Oh, no, that,
Well, I wasn't proposing to change the 5,000, but that first paragraph doesn't come anywhere close
no, it
to
doesn't.
hitting the $5,000.
I
Would
agree.
never.
So I wasn't proposing that we needed
No.
to increase that 5,000
I would agree.
Right, no.
at all. I'm not saying we should or shouldn't, I'm saying I wasn't even in the discussion. We still have a motion and a second on the
Yeah, we
floor.
do.
Right.
So my reading of the policy would say that we would already be compensated
Compensated.
for
For
the meetings
in
for
November. I was with
superintendents.
Right.
misinterpreted
But
that.
you're talking about that. I'm talking about even like this month and the month before, you know, last month. It wasn't, had to do with that. I know you're saying what Peter was.
Well, that's because you brought up the interview, what Peter brought up
Right,
about
that's what I'm saying.
November.
I'm talking about in a full year, I can guarantee you, we sit on more than.
In September, we
Two.
approved 3 minutes. I think we approved
Yes,
3 board.
so do you understand what we're kind of getting to, Kevin?
I do.
Right. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not asking for every, you know, month. If you go to an extra meeting that has been called, there's, just add 2 more to the 2 we're getting already. That would make equal 4.
Well, the 2 extras though are the formal special board meetings
Okay.
that we already have.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why it's 14.
Right, so then you add 2 more.
Is there any way that you could put that on the screen, your proposal, Mr. Hermaning, and show the additional numbers, if you agree to go, that you can take the heat either way? I mean, you know, there's always controversy no matter what we do. I mean, we could delay this whole thing a year and say, put a study committee out there and come up with a proposal for next year. But I mean, if you people figure it's justified, I mean, I know, you know, I admire people who wanna be on the school board, and there's very few people that are interested in putting in the time. And, you know, with all the things that you have to, more or less shoulder,
Yeah.
I mean, all the way from, all these different things that are going on in the world and try to keep the district on the straight and narrow. I mean, I respect all of that, but I don't want you guys to get in a controversy amongst yourselves. I mean, you know, that's where I kinda coming from
I think the
too.
dollar amount that Kevin is, it looks like he might be adding it up. We're
No.
talking less than, what, $1,200 maybe for, the $500 for president, was it $300 for vice president? And then,
Maximum of 300 for the rest.
Two more.
So $1,700 was what I was proposing, with $500 that would go to the board president, 300 to the vice president, the treasurer, and the clerk,
Yeah,
and then $100 for each of the three
Chairman.
board committees.
yeah.
Committee
for
chairs.
Committee members.
And I would not have, I'm ambivalent, I mean, I wouldn't say if you are the chairman of a committee and the treasurer, those are two separate responsibilities, right?
so we're
So
asking
I
for a
would pay them
friend,
both.
he's asked for a friendly amendment on that.
Are you satisfied with that?
Well, that would be up to you to make the
Well,
friendly amendment.
yeah,
And
well,
just, you know, that would cost about $1,700.
You know,
Then we could go to
The
Kelly's.
way inflation is nowadays, I mean, maybe not even enough, maybe we should double it or triple it or something, but I can go along.
I'll vote no. I'm only one person in this whole room.
I mean, maybe we should form a union yet, and
One of them's gonna get solved soon, you know, in Hollywood.
but anyhow, I could include that in the motion if that's okay.
For the
Yeah.
officers and the committee
Yeah,
chairs.
right, yeah.
And then,
And then Bernie, what I was talking to, and is it two different votes, Kevin?
I think let's,
Will it be?
Well, I think you're
was it
trying
Bernie's
to,
wife that made the second? Would you be acceptable to a friendly amendment as well, since you made the second?
Absolutely.
Amy,
hear about it.
you're comfortable with that? Yes. I think we have that. So the second friendly amendment request was to change 14 to 16. And that would be in essence 9 members times 2 more, 1,800, that'd be a $3,600
Additional.
addition.
That's if you go. You have to
If you
be
go.
to the meeting. And my rationale, Bernie, was these younger parents nowadays with kids in things, I would like to see more people involved in the school district and in the school board. And you need to have, nobody's gonna get rich doing this job by any means. But when you're giving up your child's ball game or, you know, dance, something, you gotta have a little tiny incentive.
There's a lot of meetings that,
There's a
in
lot.
essence, that
There's a
we
lot of
attend that are for free.
Oh,
based on
yes,
this number.
yes, a lot of time we give up.
With adding the 2 extra meetings, would you want to change the $5,000 maximum per year to $5,400?
I don't think we'd even come close
So
still.
that would be 30.
Because of the difference between,
You get the stipend
if you have the
for,
16 meetings, and then you have the 4 expulsions, I didn't count up the outside conferences, but that leaves you 5 meetings to attend to reach your maximum 5,000, not including interviews or conferences, national
Then we
conferences.
might have to bump it up.
So I didn't know if you wanted to bring that up.
Okay, we might have to bump that up, Peter.
that,
We can vote on that.
I think that number is safe, but I'm only, like Kevin said, I'm only one person, so.
I think with the
It
motion
looks
on the
safe
floor
to
in
me.
a second, I
I
think we
think
should
so.
vote on it.
Well, we'll vote once we agree to what the final motion is. If you don't want to accept Kelly's request to 16 meetings, we can vote on the friendly amendment that's already been approved, agreed to. And depending on how that vote goes, then if it doesn't pass, then we could
Well,
do
you
an
can vote
adjustment.
again if you want.
Right,
So,
yeah.
You know,
Also,
if you vote it down, you vote it down,
okay,
or.
so I guess what I'm
and then you
hearing,
can start over again.
no change on the 14, I think is what I'm hearing?
What's that?
Your motion.
Yeah, it's your motion.
yeah, Bernie, what we did.
That's up to you to accept the request to go to 16 meetings. If not, we'll be ready to vote if there's no further discussion.
Yeah, I'm ready, pull the trigger.
Okay? Okay, we'll vote on what's been proposed. All in, oh,
So to be clear, it's just what Kevin proposed?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It's the current policy plus paying the officers and the committee chairs.
Okay.
And you have the amounts, right?
I do.
500, 300,
300,
and
100.
100. Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
And my dollar amount was not to say that it is worth it, an extra $100 to be the chair of the committee. It's an acknowledgement that it's more than the rest of us do,
Yes.
by position at least. That really was what it was all about.
Okay, thank you, it was really good discussion. Any other authorized business? Okay, we have a standing agenda item for.
I would like to ask a question
Yep.
about safety in the district. I mean, where does the district stand? I call it health and security. I mean, you were gonna hire 2 resource officers. I don't know where that stands. And there's a lot of stuff going on about mental, so-called evaluation and problems, and it's, the Attorney General of the state of Wisconsin is getting into it, and of course, a lot of other, and you know, I don't want our school district to be at a disadvantage politically and practically, and I was just wondering, I could be off base, but on a yearly basis, I think it would be a good thing, with the emphasis on this here, safety and mental health, it's not gonna go away. I mean, with all the different forces there are there, in our culture nowadays, you know what they are, I think somehow or another, we should have a yearly report of the progress that we're making, or the goals that we wanna set in the district. I mean, I think it's getting so important now. If we just sit back and make believe everything is beautiful, well, that's not gonna work. I mean, and I don't wanna let us get caught between a rock and a hard place, that we're a bunch of sleepheads here or something. And I think we should be finding right at the annual meeting each year and have a yearly report, a status report on that. You know, we have a goal each year, and then at the end of the year, just like with the academics and that, and where we, and then at the end of the year, have a report on where we are. And if we can't make it, the reason why we don't make it.
I think that's a wonderful idea. I'll just chime in a little bit if that's okay.
Mr. Whale, give a little
Sure.
update on where we're at safety-wise?
Yes, so Safety Ad Hoc Committee, we have a committee that meets on a regular basis, monthly, which has
Yeah,
Chief Graham's, Fire Department,
Right.
administration, school
Yeah.
board,
Yeah.
and every administration meeting that I have, be it on the district level administration or my instructional leadership
Yeah,
team,
yeah.
there's a standing agenda item every meeting to
Yeah.
talk about safety,
Yeah.
what's going on. So safety is the most important thing to me as your
That's why I
interim
think it should be
superintendent.
another item
Yes,
on
sir.
the agenda, on the annual meeting.
I agree, I think that's a great idea to
Because,
have a
I mean, I
report.
think it would kind of put a little more emphasis on.
Yes.
That you're doing the things that you are doing.
Yes, it's the
You know, that-
accountability to the
and-
public,
and,
yes.
You don't have a second resource officer yet, do you, or?
No,
You know, I know they're interviewed a couple people down here, and you know, it's so tough right now.
Yes, sir.
I mean, there's a shortage, the jail up at Marathon County up there, they have to pull officers off patrol just to man the jail, and they can't
Yes.
hire anyone.
right.
So, I mean, that's gonna be a tough call, then you gotta get the guy in there that's qualified to handle this mental stuff.
Yes.
You know, and far be it from me, I mean, you know, to understand that all, I'm not even gonna go there at all. I mean, you know, you look at all the various, classifications, you know, you got the, diversity thing, you got the, now you got that's hot as a Green New Deal. I mean, they're claiming that adults are getting mentally crazy with that Green New Deal stuff, you know, and they're preaching that, and we're all gonna die. I mean, you know, it's crazy, all the cultural shift that's going on with that stuff. I mean, they get caught up in that, then it gets in the classrooms, and of course, then you got pride, you know, that's another deal. But I mean, it's there, and it's not gonna go away.
Safety is our number one concern, and
Yeah.
again, yes, I think that's a great idea to have a report on that.
I have a safety concern. I live right across the street from the middle school. They put the gates and the fences up. Okay. The other day, or last week it was, the gates were locked. And all those parents are lined up along that street, and the kids are throwing their backpacks over the fence and climbing over the fence to get out of that area with basketball courts and the playground. Now, I noticed tonight that gate was open, so what, I mean, that was terrible to see. Those kids trying to climb that fence to get out of there. So, just so you're aware that there is something going on, I don't know what, I didn't like it, seeing that happening, and I'm sure the parents sitting there in their cars probably weren't real thrilled about their kid climbing the fence or either. Liability, just in
Right.
case they fall.
Yeah, that.
And I'll
doesn't sound
report
safe.
that to our middle school principal tomorrow, and yeah, the kids should be climbing fences. Middle school kids like to climb fences, but that's no excuse.
The
I
gates
agree.
were locked. They
Yes.
came out those doors by the basketball courts, and I don't believe that they could get out.
Was that
I-
at the
Supposed
end
to
of the
keep
day?
people out.
Yes.
Well,
It's supposed to
so-
keep the people out though.
Right,
And finally, somebody got the gate open. I couldn't tell from where I was, but the gate by the, where the teachers park,
right.
that gate got open, and then the children all went down that
Down.
way
Was that after school?
after school.
Right, and usually someone does open the gate, and it's
Okay.
usually a custodian or a principal
must have
or
gotten missed.
something. So if something happened at the end of the day and one of those people didn't show up, like the custodians or something, or the principal ended up with a situation that they couldn't get to, the gate probably didn't get opened right away.
If that was the case, I understand. Now, today I did not watch to see what happened at the end of the school day.
Yeah, and I pick up my daughter every day. I don't think I've ever seen that, so I
No,
might have
neither.
missed it.
And we
It
had
was terrible to
we
see.
had this safety committee
And it might
last
have been
night.
the second day, because the
Okay.
first day, I think it was only some kind of a sport team, and the bus was there, and they were throwing their duffel bags over, and climbing over and getting on that bus, whatever, I don't know, football.
Oh, that might have been, okay.
Football.
So, and then the next day, it was all the kids.
We had a safety committee meeting last night and talked about this exact thing, so we're, cause those fences were just put up, completely securing the perimeter, and now they're kinda going through the workings of, the growing pains of, well, how do we figure out how this needs to work? Because like Steve Kaiser, Director of Building and Grounds, brought up, I have to be able to get my plows in, and so we're looking into, either the ones where you can put on a code from the inside and someone lets out, like the admins have, or some sort of tag, or some sort of process that makes it a way for the kids to, because we open them up on the weekends, right? You've always seen them open on the
I've
weekends.
always seen them open.
They must be
On the
open at
week-
night
yes,
as well.
and- yes, because you
No
can go
kids
in
are
there.
there.
On
yeah.
Wednesday night, I dropped my kids off for church, and
Yeah.
I needed to work, so I came and sat in the new little courtyard in the middle school.
Yeah.
And I had to go pick up my kids. I got done, and I went to go back into the building, and it was locked. And I thought, I hope all these fences aren't locked, because then you would have saw me climbing over the fence.
And I'll tell you what else.
We're actually looking
I was
into
in a panic.
reworking the entire parking in that area, because if you live there, you
There was
know
a gate
how
open.
dangerous it is to have someone parked here, 2 lanes of traffic here, and then kids be bopping in and out, and how dangerous that situation is. So that's something that we're looking into further, either making the discussion of a one-way, to open that up, and keep the congestion out of there, but of course it's hard when you have just that
Right.
little
It's-
street,
it's
right?
And
always
there have,
been,
there
Yeah.
have been numerous times that I've been down to City Hall because they try to make my side of the street no parking.
Mm.
That is the only place that I can park. And so they have removed their signs and taken those away. So I would not wanna see no parking on both sides of the street. Cause I think the school side has some signs, I'm not sure what they say.
Yeah, they talked,
30 minutes.
it's supposed to be, we talked about that also, it's
So does
supposed to be half-hour parking in front of the high
Right.
school,
Yep.
and a lot of the kids will just
Yeah.
park there the whole day, and he said, the chief said he kinda turns a blind eye to it, because it's like,
Well, I'm just, there is a problem, I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure you
Thank
knew
you.
about it.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Yes, thank you.
And
We're
then
working on
over
it.
the summer once, now this is the summer, so I don't know how involved the school is. At 8 o'clock, my grandson did not come home from the pool and it was closing. So I went down there and I could not get into the pool area. I could not get in the Kresge doors. The lifeguard starts coming out and I said, oh, wait a minute. I think my grandson is in there. What's going on? I can't get in to see if he's safe. I don't know if he's laying on the floor unconscious, you know? And I said, go see. She goes, well, we can't go in there. I said, well, you can yell in that door or you let me do it and I will be yelling in that door. And so she went and looked and yes, he was still showering. And so was another one of my grandkids that she's 18, I didn't even know she was there. But this was a 10-year-old boy. I let him go there and then when he wasn't home in 5 minutes after closing, I was there. So I said to her, I was almost ready to call the police department to go in there and figure out what's going on. So I don't know if that's a Y problem, that's a most B problem,
It's a why.
but somebody should be made aware of that, and those lifeguards should not be leaving until.
Yeah,
Right.
And if we're letting the Y use it, I don't know how that works, but they need to be told.
Yeah, they're in charge.
It was terrible, I was frantic.
That would be very.
Mr. Hanson?
yes.
If it's appropriate, I'd like to make a motion and see where it goes, that for next year's annual meeting, we have a item where it states a review of the district's mental and security status of the district. An update on the mental health and security, you know, two things there, mental
pillars?
and the security.
Maybe if we had a little
And
report
social.
about each of the 4 strategic plans,
Yeah.
which cover what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yep.
right.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so in our minutes, Amy will have all of this other discussion. Last year, I saw nobody brought up anything. So it'll be up to us to review these minutes as we set this agenda,
When we, in that board meeting, when we said-
for the annual meeting, yep. Thank you.
But Bernie, to answer one of your questions, too, I do see in December on our agenda planning, we do have evaluations from school violence drills as well. So, I don't know if
That
that's,
would be the Alice drill.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's something we can tie in
It's a
to
good
as well,
idea.
before we get to that, but that's a, can add it to other
Really good idea.
business.
Yeah.
Okay,
Anything else? No discussion tonight.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We need to set the date and time for the 2024 mo-
I will make a motion to set the next annual meeting for September 24th, 2024, with a time change to 6 PM instead of 7.
I'll second that.
Okay, we've got a motion to have the 2024 annual meeting on September 24th at 6 o'clock PM. We have a second on that.
Right.
Ms. Gorman, second.
And I would like to make a motion that the annual meeting be held in one of the newer facility or additions or something like that. You know, and maybe we can get a few more people that can come in, retired people or
To see
whatever.
the new
That-
middle school
Well,
cafeteria.
either the cafeteria or one of the classrooms that have been newly redone, or there's, you know, the CDS room, IDS room, sorry, and, or something like that. There's some nice spaces now.
So Amy, when do we have to set that? We don't, do we, as far as?
Not for
Location.
location, do we?
Location?
Yeah.
At the,
Just date and
at
times.
the board meeting that we,
Really, it should be set now.
Our
because
board
it's-
meeting's always here,
Yeah.
The monthly
the
ones.
monthly.
Yeah.
See, now, I got my car and it was like, oh geez, where's it at? I'm thinking it's here, because it's always been here. But I see a whole bunch of people at the Kresge Center and I'm thinking, well, if there's nobody here, I'm going to the Kresge Center.
And the
Years
location
prior,
is
it
always
was-
on the
Right.
agenda.
I mean, that is a
So
good
if
point.
you
So
will
you
start
always-
moving
right.
it around, there's
No.
gonna be people like me that are gonna
That's
be
true.
lost.
Right.
That's just a thought.
But in years past, I know there've been several years where it's been in
I do.
the library.
It was always in the
Yes,
library.
the
Yeah.
IAC.
Which was a nice location. I thought the library library was a nice location to have the annual meeting also. And that's been renovated also.
Oh, that's.
Yeah,
One
with
of
all that
the,
new
one of the
furniture.
purposes, one of the values of having it here is of course the technologies, both for the
Yes.
projector as well as the screens, right?
Well, I guess because we have a first and second, we would need to, that would be offered up as a friendly amendment. That would be up to Amy
Yeah,
and
and I
Diane
think
to
we
make a
had talked
decision.
about that in the past too, and what Kevin brought up was the IT portion of it, you know, when we try to move it around. It doesn't mean that we can't have our meetings, other monthly
Board meetings
meetings
at different
at
places.
different locations.
The risk with that again is somebody decides they
Well,
want
right,
to
but
come to
at
the
the
meeting
annual
and then
meeting, when
there
it's,
isn't.
and when it's
Yeah.
really not our meeting, but the electors' meeting.
I feel consistency might.
So like I said, that's up to Amy and Diane to consider.
I'm good with leaving it here,
Leaving it here.
yeah.
And that door was locked, it just.
I, in the past, when they've had it at the other locations, we've gotten a lot of calls here, just asking where it
Did
is.
anyone make a motion yet to set the date for the next?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
they
working on,
they are
we
now.
have a motion and second for that, now there's discussion on if we should have it at a different location.
You know, okay, you know, I just love this location here. It's just like sitting around the kitchen table. You know, how many people come to the meeting? I mean, you know,
It's big.
not even a half, not even a half. And you know, if you had it up there, so-called at the Kresge Center, you know, it'd be like we were all lost. You know, one would be sitting here and one over there.
Well,
And-
we
and,
talked,
you
we
know,
have it in the library
We
or
wouldn't
something
even be able
smaller,
to,
more
well, the
intimate.
library too, I mean, what's wrong with this place? I mean, you can spend money wherever you're gonna go, and there's no better place than right here. I mean, it's the oldest building in the district, and, I see nothing wrong with this, you know, I feel, you know,
Well, we were discussing it, Amy, you said that when we've moved buildings, we tend to get a lot of phone calls and
do.
confusion.
Yes.
Okay, so I know Diane isn't offering up,
I prefer to
okay.
keep it here.
We do not have a friendly amendment to change it, so.
Okay, all right.
So if not, any further discussion on next year's meeting? Not? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Make a motion to, need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
I can do that. Okay, we've got first, second, Mort. You good? Yep. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Yeah.
Okay, don't.
There you go.
What time did we get done?